everybody, welcome. This is not a planned video, so we'll see where it takes us or whether it will be long or short. I'm really a bit miserable these last few days. I have never been a gardener, but always wanted to garden. So now that we live in this house with this huge garden looking like a desert, I'm truly trying. Most things start out in pots because we barely have any proper topsoil. Well, years ago, the kids bought me a gardening set. You know, the typical yellow and green spade and fork set which we buy at our co-ops. Then somewhere in all my mess, I found a little spade with a pink handle, and because I loathed both of them because they were so broad and shallow, an ex-neighbour who had since passed away gave me one which he actually made and welded himself for that very reason. It was a deeper and narrower hand spade. Now, I had this cute wall hanger made out of wire and shaped like two geckos, which I used to hang these tools from. Anyway, I got outside Thursday morning, gone, all of it. It had been hanging in that corner, fairly hidden behind a wall with spikes on it for more than a year. The camera showed nothing, so someone must have hooked it with something from the other side of the wall. Really, this angers me. I have never in my entire life seen something like the criminality in this town and how it is being handled. We did not even bother to find the police. If they did not even investigate a guy looking at the camera and gave the reason as no evidence, then what do you think they'll do where nobody saw anything? The other night my daughter got an urgent alert on her phone, a request for help and someone to call the police, and it came from a house across the road, say about 2 doors down. Both my daughter and grandson have some degree of first aid training, so they phoned the police and rushed over. It was a case of severe domestic abuse. The man had beaten this woman to a pulp. Broken nose, broken teeth, and she is 7 months pregnant. She managed to get away and ran to the people in the house where my daughter and grandson found her. It was the home of an elderly couple, hence the panic. Luckily, members of the neighborhood watch, 2 men, also arrived. My daughter and grandson did what they could to apply first aid and stop the bleeding. Finally, 3 police vans arrived. They took a quick listen and said they'll phone the ambulance, after my daughter told them that she thinks the woman's nose is broken and that she's pregnant. They nearly took off when one of the neighborhood watch guys said, "Hey, aren't you going to do something? All that woman's belongings are in that house, and unless he's removed, she can't go in to get it because he'll kill her." Anyway, so they stopped and they accompanied the blokes to the house. The man had locked the front door, but could be seen sitting on the couch drinking. They called him, but he wouldn't come out. Guess what the cops did? Nothing. The neighborhood watch blokes insisted. They said, "No, you can't just leave. We need to do something." The police turned around and said, "No, they can't kick the door in." So the one fellow said, "Well, I'm not a cop." And he kicked the door in for them. Oh no, they wanted nothing to do with that. They turned around and left. At least one went back to report to the woman, and my daughter asked about the ambulance. And the one who went back said, "Oh no, they did not call the ambulance." My daughter got very angry as the woman was getting weaker and confused. So the police took her, put her in the van, and took her to the provincial hospital. At 7 months pregnant, I kid you not. I have never in my entire life seen somebody openly selling drugs on a street corner before, until we moved here. Never had so many thefts in such a short time, and never lived next to a sex offender who only served 3 months of a 6-year sentence and who is on the walkabout every night and openly posts on different forums that this dog is barking or that dog is barking or this is happening here, clearly out in the street at 1, 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. Yet no one does anything or even says anything. It is really unlike anything I have seen before. There needs to be a serious investigation into the police here and a huge clampdown on crime. Anyway, let's have a royal chat, because I heard a piece of gossip, and let me just warn you, I cannot promise you that any of this is true. I have never before had any contact from this particular person before, at least not that I can remember. Allegedly, apparently, a family member of this person, a female, worked as a server at Kris Jenner's party. Allegedly, apparently, a certain person dressed in a black skirt and faded black top, with her hair in an olive oil style bun, was found sneaking around a certain mansion during the party. When found and asked whether she can be assisted, she allegedly said that she took the wrong turn coming out of the bathroom. All allegedly, of course, okay? Don't sue me. It could be a total fabrication for all I know. But wasn't she caught doing the same at one of the palaces, sneaking around and taking photographs? I'm sure I heard something like that. Also, didn't she do the exact same thing in William and Catherine's home when they still lived in Kensington Palace, and even took pictures of the children's bedrooms? Or was that a rumour as well? Anyway, there's also another rumour which I got from the same person, but which was apparently not observed by the family member herself, but told to her by a third person. Allegedly, Olive Oil was also caught sniffing some Colombian marching powder, at which point, allegedly, it was recommended they leave because the cops had already been around once asking that barriers which were erected in the street be taken down. According to the relative, alcohol flowed fiercely and freely at the party, especially martinis, in keeping obviously with the Bond theme. She says the hangovers must have been massive. You know, I said the other day that I think the main reason why Charles does not want to take Harry's titles is because the titles gives him a measure of protection against the law. While he is Prince of the realm, he will not be arrested or go to jail. Not unless he commits a violent crime in a country which is not part of the Commonwealth. But I think that is a mistake. What was wrong with Harry at Kris Jenner's party? Was he drunk or was he high? Either way, this lifestyle cannot continue without consequences, and those consequences will come regardless of whatever protection he has. I mean, karma's the bitch, and seeking her out can be even worse. How it can be allowed that 2 young children grow up in a home where the parents are, number 1, often absent, number 2, where they are also exposed to heated arguments, and number 3, the effect of drugs and alcohol when they are home. I mean, it is just beyond me. Anyway, guys, I'm keeping this short. There are 3 more papers to write and then we are done. So 1 load of stress will be dealt with, and when the Christmas market opens on the 26th, that will be it. What's done is done, and the rest will just have to wait for next time. So please, all I ask from you today is to take good care of yourselves and to stay safe. Bye.